Hey guys, Anthony 4x4 Adventures. Just want to demonstrate for you the transmission in the later Prados since the remap, how they just absolutely stay locked. We've got quite a hill coming up, I don't know if you can see that in the distance. It's one of the usual ones. So let's switch to the other camera and show you what the transmission does. Okay, so we're coming up towards the bottom of the hill at the moment. Just hold it steady as you can, thanks mate. Got my assistant here, trying to hold the camera of course, but it's sometimes a bit difficult to keep it still. What can you see there? You can see if it changes gears, all the torque converter unlocks. At the moment it looks like it's sitting on about 1750 RPM. Speed set on 115, which is about 110.5 kilometers an hour real speed. See the fuel economy, and you can see how it just went up that hill. We're sort of halfway up Girvan's Hill, that is, on the Calder Highway on the way from Bendigo down to Melbourne, and you can see that torque converter staying locked in 6th gear, and even on bigger hills it does that, and even if it unlocks it goes back to 5th and locks. And that's why later in this video I'll be able to show you that ATF temp. That's about the highest we've ever seen, 86. After another, you know, how long, what are we up to, 25 minutes? There was another 15 minutes driving before that 25 minutes, just in the middle of the dash there. So about 40 minutes driving actually. Reset the trip B as well, about 40 Ks. We're just going to drive on cruise control so you can see what happens, and it'll be a bada bing, and we'll just show you the temp as we get down towards the Sunbury end of things. Yeah, just thought I'd pop a few photos in there as well, but to be quite honest, with an ambient of 15 degrees, I'm quite surprised it's even 90 degrees at the ATF, and see the torque converter is also 90. Interesting. So I'm going to do some more videos, and I'm going to demonstrate with a scan gauge in the Hilux and also in the Prado 120. There's a really long video that I did recently, I don't know if it's out yet. It goes for about 50 minutes. It's on 4x4 diesel. So check out the automatic transmission playlist on 4x4 diesel, our other YouTube channel, spelled the same as 4x4 Adventures, except diesel instead of adventures. Right? Like, you can really get yourself educated and understand how the transmission works. And I was just a bit, we've got a torque converter code in this scan gauge, and I'm just not sure if it was accurate or not, so I wasn't going to talk about that until I know that it is. But on this run, so the coolant's at 88 at the moment, the ATF's 90 and the torque converter's 91, and the DPF regeneration has just started, so that's something different. Anyway, if you want to see those other videos when we do it on the Hilux and the Prado 120, just make sure you subscribe to both channels, and then you won't miss it when they come out. But I'm just going to keep cruising down the road here, and my point is the torque converter in the 2020 Prado and probably the Hilux, but I don't know, I don't own one, where they remapped, we call it the remap because it's mainly software changes, okay, the one with a different turbo. Those transmissions stay locked really well, too well for some people, but just to give you an idea. But after, you know, it'll be at least an hour's driving, we'll show you the transmission temperatures and stuff like that, and that'll be that. Alright, who wants to know what's going on? Okay, just quickly, this is the real quick version. You want the long version, it's on 4x4 diesel. The quick version is the only thing making heat in the transmission when the torque converter locked is nothing other than the transmission oil is running through the coolant in the radiator, obviously in a separate tank to keep it separate, so heat transfer. So the only thing cooling the transmission down at the moment is the air blowing on the pan, which we've worked out on these auto pans, it doesn't take a lot of heat out of it. We may take a look more closely into the transmission pans in some other videos, so stay tuned, subscribe to the bell, and you know the deal. If we were to let the torque converter unlock and it be slipping, that's what makes the heat. Okay, so torque converter slipping is what makes the heat. That's why we've got that torque converter there. That's why the torque converter should always be hotter. But while it's locked, it's going to be about the same, give or take a degree or two either way, whatever. Right, but when in some other driving and some other videos, we'll, some more aggressive driving, that's slipping the torque converter. Excuse me. And in doing so, that'll increase the transmission temperatures quite rapidly. Anyway, that's about it. There it is. You can see it's still 87, 84 at the coolant, 87, 87. Pretty boring, but that's what happens with the torque converter staying locked. So is your torque converter staying locked? Is your transmission getting hot? Because it's a very expensive thing behind the engine, and probably worth monitoring and avoiding problems. And then when you need to do oil changes, because how often and for how long it's been hot for. Maybe then you'll know if you need a transmission cooler. Maybe then you'll know if you need a transmission remap or a transmission torque converter lockup kit, or whatever your choices are. But yeah, are you aware of the transmission temperature? And with some deceleration, the off ramp at Sunbury, 85 degrees coolant, and funny that the other two are the same. Anyway, the preliminary findings on the 2020 onwards 6-speed A60F transmission, its torque converter lockup keeps it running very close to the engine coolant temperature, which is normal operating temp. Currently I'm seeing 85 at the torque converter, 85 at the ATF, 87 at the coolant. As I said, the only reason it runs cooler than the coolant is the air cooling, but it doesn't seem to be getting a lot of that, because some of the other vehicles, they actually run 5, 10, 15 degrees cooler than the coolant temp. So they're obviously getting quite a lot of cooling from that airflow to that transmission pan. Anyway, that's a video. If you want longer versions, more information, we've got that longer one. It can be found in the automatic transition playlist on 4x4 Diesel. Either way, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully that helps you. And also on the DTC side of things, so that you can scan codes, clear codes, and get some help by knowing what the code is rather than just having an engine light. Once again, hope it's helped. Subscribe to the bell and smash the like button. Catch you on the next one. See ya. Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Adventures. Hey, I know it's been a while, but we'll have some more trips soon. But I've got a really important message for everyone. Doesn't matter what make or model. Something that we talk about, I suppose, we mention on our Facebook pages. We mention on 4x4 Diesel, our other YouTube channel, in case you're unaware of that. Because it's sort of on the mechanical side, but anybody that's traveling, okay, if you're just going to be local, you're just going to go to school and back, you're going to go to the shops and back within 100 k's of home, then maybe you don't need this, like maybe you don't need RAC. But if you're traveling more than 100 k's from home, that's my general indication, a few 100 k's from home or a few 1,000 k's from home, you're probably going to need RAC, for your roadside service at some point in time. So basically, what goes hand in hand with that is having some sort of scan tool or scan gauge, scan equipment to get that. Okay, you've got your engine light. Now, as I said, all makes and models is what I would recommend, particularly as they get older, but not excluding, for example, 1GDs. Okay, so they can have an issue where dirty MAF sensor, but you won't know what it is. You'll just be in limp mode, you'll have engine lights on and you'll go, oh wow, what's wrong here? And it'll be call RAC, they won't know, they'll send someone, they might not know, it might be just the tow truck, they won't know. You'll be waiting for a workshop to open up, they won't know till at least they open up, they might not know, and it could be weeks before they can look at the car. You don't want to know that. So, doesn't matter what make or model. Talking about the Prados and Hiluxes, for example, because that's what we generally specialise in. The 1KZ engine is probably needs it the least because it's got the least electronics, you know. The V6 is probably the one that needs it least after that. But if you've got the 1KD diesel with a variable geometry turbo and the 1KD, similar things, more electronics, more sensors, more things that can be dirty, and generally you don't have problems. But when you do, and there's still way too many people that don't have anything in their vehicle to be able to scan those codes, so you can, the purpose is to, well, you can monitor some data, that's one thing. Okay, you might want to look at your coolant temperature, that sort of thing. But the other thing you can do is, besides monitoring data, you can not only check the code, you can clear the code. Okay, so in this vehicle we're currently got a scan gauge too. So that's what it's called. It's actually called a scan gauge. So when people are talking about names of things, you know, sometimes there's a bit of confusion. I need a scan gauge. You know, they mean a scan tool of some sort. Okay, so there's a few different things available, but at this point in time we're talking about scan gauges a bit because they do allow us to know the transmission. It'd be really awesome if people could be consistent on speed as well, you know. But anyway, I'll just slow down again in a minute and we'll, you know, yep, and eventually he slowed down again and we got past. And we can slow down again because, you know, when you're travelling faster than the vehicle and you're going past and then you're not going past anymore and then you just speed up a K or two so you can go past and you're still not going past, it's pretty painful. You could drop it back a couple more again and you'd be going slower. But anyway, he slowed down again, whatever. Back onto what we were talking about. Point is, DTC's diagnostic trouble code. The engine light comes on and you've got no information. Okay, so look, I'll just show you the scan gauge quickly. But that's all I wanted to say. There's way too many people still getting around, you know, whether it's on our Facebook groups where people go, oh, I've got an engine light, you know, what do I do? Who do I go to? Who do I, well, you know, and the text message is not, that it's not a diagnostic service. That is what our Facebook groups are for. But if you had a scan tool, there's so many benefits. I think everybody should have one. As I said, everybody should have one. One day you wish you did. That's it. I'll just quickly show you the scan gauge we've got sitting here. You'll see the coolant temp, the transmission temp, the load reading, and the battery voltage. There it is. Scan gauge. See, it says at the bottom. Scan gauge is the product name. Coolant temperature at the top left. There's many different parameters you can choose to put there. And we've got the transmission temperature, ATF, at the bottom left, the load on the top right, and the battery voltage, 13.6 volts. That's a video, guys. You can do what you want. I'm just putting it out there that if you're traveling and you're in the middle of nowhere and you've got an engine light come on, and with today's technology, and it's not even today's technology, yes, let's include today's technology, but it's also yesterday's technology. The last 10 to 15 years, that could be the vehicle you own, and it's more likely, and it might not be anything major, and I'd hate for it to spoil a trip for you when all you need to do was go, oh, that car, yeah, we know about that. I'll just search 4x4 diesel. Oh, yeah, there we go. We can, you know what I mean? And you can clear it and you can not worry about it, or you can put a post in our Facebook group and, you know, deal with it. Yeah, you can deal with it with whatever way you like, you know. You can keep driving, you can get a tow truck, you can call a mechanic, you can get out and spray some CRC on it. Hey, it depends what it is. I'm just making things up here. You can get out and clean that MAF sensor, whatever it might be. Anyway, guys, I hope this has helped you make the trip more desirable and avoid those inconveniences. Bada bing, we're out of here. Thanks for watching. See ya.